welcome to this new episode of Radio FCCIB. My name is Fatma Al-Khlayf, the admin manager, and today I have the honors of welcoming Mr. Jeremy Canivet, the Director of Sales and Marketing at the Ritz-Carlton. Mr. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Fatma. It's my pleasure to be here today. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. So I'll start by giving a brief about you. So you have 20 years of experience in hospitality and mostly within the sales discipline. And you have lived and worked in the Middle East for 11 years, and this is your second year in Bahrain. Am I right?
That's correct. Yeah, 2 years and 2 months to be exact.
Okay, perfect. And so, as you know, the concept of Radio FCCIB is very simple. I will be asking you 3 questions, and I will give you time after each question to answer. And that's it. So we can start.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. So the first question I have for you is, as you know, the hospitality sector has been one of the most affected by the COVID situation. So can you tell me how the Ritz-Carlton dealt with the situation and what are the solutions that have been put in place?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you're right. The tourism and hospitality industry has been heavily affected by the crisis, the worldwide crisis. I think at the Ritz-Carlton, we have a belief that there's opportunity in crisis, and we try to find the silver lining in every situation. Right in the very beginning, we had brainstorming meetings about how we're going to address what is now termed as the new normal. And we came up with some great ideas that are starting to bear fruit all these months later. Our primary focus was our guests. So the guests that are coming to Bahrain, the guests that are staying in the Ritz-Carlton, let's make sure that we don't just exceed their expectations, but we far exceed their expectations. Let's make sure that these guests really enjoy their time at the Ritz-Carlton because they're here and our occupancy levels might not be at the level we want them to be, but let's make sure that we take care of those guests that are staying with us. That was number one for us. We were one of the first resorts actually to implement the full sanitization protocols. We implemented the barriers at the front desk, the ozone sanitizing of valet vehicles, as well for the rooms, the sanitization wipes in the rooms, the hand sanitizers throughout the hotel. So we were one of the first hotels to adapt to that. Despite the fact that our cleaning protocols were always industry leading, we needed to elevate further based on the situation, of course, as you know. And then through these brainstorming meetings, we thought we'd get a little bit creative. I mean, how can we take this situation and really try to build some confidence in the market, more confidence in the Ritz-Carlton. So we introduced what's called the virtual room. So one of our meeting rooms, we put in over $500,000 US worth of audiovisual equipment, one of the largest LED screens in the Kingdom of Bahrain, all the technology to bring people from all over the world who maybe couldn't fly into Bahrain and attend a meeting together, but into one event space virtually. And this space has been selling, and we've got many banks and businesses using it for board meetings, their offices around the GCC in the world. They can come together and have their meetings in this space. So this was one of our first initiatives, and it's paying off in dividends at the moment. We're quite impressed and happy with that. And then a little bit of a funny story is we thought about, okay, how can we address the future of meetings and the desire to have safety protocols in place when people start gathering in larger numbers. And we developed a plexiglass, kind of a semicircle on wheels. And we decided to name it the Phoenix Pod. And the reason why we named it the Phoenix Pod is during our brainstorming session, my general manager, Bernard Duvillel, who's also an FCCIB member and a very proud French national, raised his arms up and said, when I raise my arms out like this, Jeremy, what do you think of? And I said to him, I said, well, Bernard, I said, it reminds me of the wings of the Phoenix. And he said, that's it. We call it the Phoenix Pod. And what this does is it just gives a small separation between the tables in the meeting room. And it still has the plexiglass, so you don't really, lose sight lines to your presentation. And it's just something that gives that additional feeling of safety and security to our guests. And then, of course, we did something really, really interesting, which was introducing something called Plex Eat. Plex Eat is like a dome that goes above your head. We introduced this in our gourmet lounge, and it's more of an artistic installation rather than a functional hospital grade form of barrier, but it really was something artistic. The gentleman who designed it's from New York. We installed it, and since then people have been coming, sitting in them, taking selfies, and we're getting a little bit of organic marketing because of it. So it is slightly functional. It's more about entertaining, and it's more about something reflective of, you know, the world we live in today. And of course, we did the usual that you'd expect when the gyms were closed. We moved our exercise classes outdoors with social distancing, and we were able to use our beautiful facilities to really kind of adapt our programs to, you know, the government regulations that were in place at the time.
All right. So I think you already answered the second question, but I'll say it anyways. Maybe you have more details to add. So under what circumstances are you operating today?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I definitely, you know me, I'm in sales. So for me, I always have something to say. I can't help it. But, you know, something important is we didn't close really any of our facilities unless it was government mandated. We stayed open throughout the crisis. Today, how we operate today is all of our hotel facilities are open. We're still following the government guidelines, of course, as far as bather capacity in our pools. Right now, our restaurants indoor seating is maximum one group of 20. But we're looking forward to October 24th when hopefully we'll get some guidelines on how we can operate our restaurants indoors. But with 12 dining venues at the resort, we've been very successful, you know, during the crisis, and now with the takeaway option in the beginning. Now we have our terraces. If you can imagine how large our gardens are. I don't know when the last time maybe you visited the Ritz-Carlton, but we have so many terraces, and because of our the land we have, we can make those terraces bigger. So this is great news for us. But again, we're really looking forward to those restaurants opening indoors. As I mentioned, we've got the running track, 600 meters of private beach. These things never closed throughout the crisis. We became a respite, you know, from the people who were maybe locked in their apartments or in their villas and wanted to feel normal. And so because of our wonderful members, we always had activity in the hotel. If we weren't getting our international guests sleeping in the hotel, we were at least having our members coming here and taking away food and beverage, enjoying the facilities, playing tennis, exercise classes outdoors. So we've been a bit of a respite during these chaotic times.
All right. So the last question I have for you today is, how do you see the future of Ritz-Carlton in the short and midterm, and what are the challenges you're able to identify?
Well, Fatima, I think quite honestly, the only way to go is up. I think that all of us, regardless of industry, but all of us have seen the absolute worst in the last months. And I think that it's a huge education for us all on how to manage during crisis, regardless again of our industry. But the only way to go is up. We're already seeing business levels starting to respond. I think the new term that's being used now is COVID patience. And I think the COVID patience is starting to wear out, that people are starting to say, okay, if I follow the protocols, if I wear my mask, if I maintain social distancing, I want to go back to somewhat normalcy. And so we're seeing that this is happening. The phone is starting to ring more. We're starting to get inquiries for events in Q1 with the anticipation of further relaxation of the gathering rules. But in the short term, to answer the first part of your question, in the short term, we need to focus on our local Bahraini market. We need to, and they've been incredibly supportive, I must say. Our staycations and our daycations are doing really well. They're enjoying our villa product. We did a promotion called Maldives in Manama, and it's still ongoing. And really, when you come to our villas and you look out on the beautiful green grass and the white sand beach and the turquoise waters and the banana tree is just beside you, could be in the Maldives, but you've driven 20 minutes from your house. So it's doing really well, and people like to get out and have a different environment around them. And so the villas are doing really well. For the medium term, I think to go back to the gathering question, when that gathering restriction is lifted or gradually lifted, I think the business that's going to come back to us is going to be weddings right at the gate. There's a lot of families who are waiting because they don't want to do it until they can bring their friends and family together. And so there's a lot of interest in having weddings. So I think whether it's from the Saudi market, the GCC market, or the local Bahraini market, I believe that the weddings are going to be what start putting events in our ballroom in the early stages. Now, in the midterm, or the challenges I feel that we might face, I think that our international leisure business, so our Germans, our British, our American leisure travelers, or whatnot, will take a little bit more time to come back. This was a market that we were cultivating quite well here at Ritz-Carlton, and we were quite happy that 40% of our business came from non-GCC customers. We wanted to diversify as much as we could. And we were quite successful at it. We believe that this relatively long-haul travel will suffer a little bit and maybe start coming back only in Q3. So once the borders open, once the causeway opens, once the airway is fully open, then I believe our GCC friends and neighbors will be really the driving force behind the hospitality recovery in Bahrain, certainly for us here at the Ritz-Carlton, and we're looking forward to that day. In the meantime, we're loving the fact that our Bahraini friends are coming to utilize our services, dine in our restaurants in the terrace. Hopefully, inshallah, soon they'll be dining inside our restaurants as well, just like the good old days, and more relaxation will come, thanks to the prudent measures that we've put in place as a country to manage this crisis.
Yes, so Mr. Jeremy, thank you so much for all the insights. We have reached the end of our interview. Do you have some final words to say to our viewers?
Really, overall, we're optimistic. Overall, we see the ray of sunlight in a somewhat dark sky. Thanks to the leadership in the Kingdom of Bahrain for being very prudent and managing this in a very effective way. I think the best management of this crisis in the entire world, in fact, we'll come back safe and strong as an industry and as a country, and we will only benefit from the measures they've taken to make sure that we're all safe and secure and healthy.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Jeremy. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this informative session, and thank you to all our viewers. We hope to see you soon. Stay safe and have a nice day.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.